I'm Raven, and welcome back to the Revell USS Voyager model build. It's been a while, I do realise this, but we have a gloriously sunny day, which means that we can get down to some gloss. As I've mentioned several times in the preface to this video, the last time I did a gloss, it screwed up horribly. There are probably various reasons for that. Possibly it was too cold or too humid, or perhaps there was surface dirt or what have you. In this case with Voyager, I'm going to lay down a gloss, put the decals on top of the gloss over the decals, and then matte over all of that. So there'll be several layers of protection, several layers of gloss, all of which can go wrong. But we shall see. I have done some tests. I'm using Humbrol acrylic varnish. This is the same stuff I used on my Colonial Viper. Cue some stock footage of that and how bad that looks. So, hoping the wind doesn't get too bouncy. Once I have sprayed the model, I'm going to take it back inside, because it is mid-October, so it's not exactly warm enough for it to stay outside. So, yeah, let's go. Okay, Voyager is now all dry. You can give it a quick look over to make sure that it is fully coated by just checking to see how shiny it is. And the gloss looks nice and even, and I don't see any obvious signs of it frosting over and looking horrible. So I think we've managed to accomplish that part of it. For those of you who are wondering, this little bit of wire that I've put in here is very simply a piece of coat hanger that I've put a cross into, so that when you put it into the hole, you bring it up like that, and then bam, it hooks on, allowing you to dangle the Voyager without damaging the model. And now that the gloss is done, I'll leave that for a bit to make sure that it is set nice and hard, and we can cover the whole thing in decals. Okay, we're back inside and Voyager's had a good long time to dry, which means that it's time for us to apply some decals. Once we put the decals on, there'll be another layer of gloss, and then the final coat of matte. As you can see at the end of the Voyager instruction booklet, there's a whole list of decals to put in. And here is the decal sheet. That's a lot of decals. There's 166, I believe, on here. Some of which we won't be using, such as these window decals, as we painted our windows, but that's only a few of the decals. 10, maybe 11 of them. But it's fine, they add on all those beautiful little accents, such as these phaser strip pieces, and of course the main reg. And so that is what we are going to be looking at here. I'm going to do one in gross detail, and then we'll flip back to a time-lapse as I flip the model over and put them all on. I quite like doing decals. Some people find them a bit fiddly. I like the process of it, and that you can't really cock it up unless you really mangle it. Some decals aren't fun, usually the ones where you have to wrap it around something, like on the X-Wing I did with Tethys. But, with no further ado, let's do the registration plate. When I'm doing decals, I like to use a 3-step process with water, microset, and microsol. You can use any decal softener you like, whether you're mixing vinegar with water, Revell's, I believe they call it Decal Soft, or whatever you like. This is what I have, this is what I like using. Microsol, microset. Step 1 of the process is to find the decal you wish to do. In this case it is the main USS Voyager registration marking, and cut it out from the decal sheet. Being careful not to disturb any of the other decals. We don't want to cut any of them up, and we certainly don't want to cut into our own one It's worth noting, if you check if you reflect the light off the decal sheet, you probably won't be able to see it on the screen terribly well, but you can see how connected a decal is. So you can see that this USS Voyager NCC 74656 is all one large decal. It's not like that there's a separation line here. So you've got to make sure that you keep it all in one piece. Cut up here. You could use a ruler if you wanted to, but these aren't so terribly, you know, they usually give you enough space that you can cut around them without too much issue. Okay, how are we doing? I would advise only cutting out the decal that you're working on at a time, otherwise you're going to end up with lots of little bits of paper floating around. There we go. Put your greaseproof paper back on and put that off to one side. Step 2 of the process, in a very shallow dish of water, you could use a saucer or in this case a plate. Take your decal, and as you can see it's going to immediately start absorbing that water and just get it down there. It doesn't take much for the decal to soak off. In this case I'm going to just flip it over for just a second or so. And the idea here is that it separates the decal from the backing sheet. Bigger decals will take slightly longer because there's more to take off. Whilst that's soaking, we can go to step 3. Step 3, if you haven't already, identify where your decal is going to go on the model, which in this case is right up here above the hexagon thing. And take a little bit of the micro set, not the micro sole, and you're going to want to brush it across the area where the decal is going to be applied. It's quite a large decal, so I will be quite generous. It will naturally bead up because we have applied that gloss, but the point is to have it make surface contact with the whole area. You don't need to be accurate or precise. Just wash it over the whole area. My decal has come off, so step 4, let me just flip this around so I can see what I'm doing. Step 4, slide your decal off the paper, vaguely where you want it to be. It's okay if you need to reposition it a little bit, but try and get it in as good a position as you can first time. So this needs a little bit of brushing. So with the same brush you had the micro set on a smaller decal the brush would work. Since this is quite a large one, I'm going to have to use my thumb here, just very gently, very gently. You don't want to tear the decal. Nudge it around until it looks centralized, which that looks pretty good. It looks pretty level, maybe a little bit that way. There we go, that looks good to me. Now I've done that, the final step is to take the micro sole with a different brush and put it right over the top of the decal. Being careful not to move the decal. With this one, you just want to put it right on top, very liberally across the entire thing. And once you've applied it, that's it. Leave it. Do not touch it, do not disturb it. Allow the decal to fully dry. And you'll see why if you keep watching. What you saw there was the acid in the microsol essentially dissolving the decal. Now on a huge decal like this, one application isn't going to be enough. On smaller ones, one application is usually sufficient. So I'm going to apply a second hit, and I'll cut back to what that looks like when it's all done. You would also apply a second hit if you're putting it onto a very textured surface, such as the hexagonal surface just below where the wedge is. And the reason you don't disturb the decal whilst this is being applied is because you can tear it, distort it, and just destroy the decal completely. And here's the decal in its final form. And you can see that it's very, very slightly receded into all of the ridges, making it look like it's been painted on. You will know that there is a very slight effect where the decal has a bit of backing left. That will disappear once we gloss over it the second time. If you feel like you need to get it deeper in there, you can put more layers of microsol on there. But as far as I'm concerned, that decal is done. Let's do all of them. But that's going to do it for this video. In the next one, it's going to be pure time-lapse of all of the decals. It's a lot of decals. It's like 166, of which there are multiples of. For example, I believe there's 10 12s, and several of other numbers as well. So, enjoy that one. We're getting close to the end. But until then, I'm Raven, and that's all from Voyager.